was this day we were at the UN compound, and in the middle of the night, what's his name? George Wilmy had left to go to ELW where he was staying, and we just heard an outburst of guns, this little Corona Jeep and all over the place, and everybody yelling and jumping, and I think I jumped over the fence and went around. There used to be this guy called Louis Watts. His father used to live somewhere behind there. That way I sought refuge. When I came back the next morning when the UN guys came, I think the guy who was the head of UNDP at the time was Adolphus Francis Blaine. I think I remember. I think that was the guy who was the head. So, we really didn't believe that, what really happened. We know we heard all of these things about war because, back in the days, like the day of the coup, I was so young to really remember what was unfolding. So they didn't know what to do. I think at about 1:30, 2 o'clock, Mr. Dole came, the former President Dole, he came at the UN compound and told us that he was really sorry for what happened, and those were not things that he ordered, and he was very sorry, and he told us that for our own security, it was good that we left the premises. So after he got through speaking, he asked for the person that was responsible for the people being there, and then I came forth and said, well, our brothers, where these people follow us, and we came here, and he said, well, it would be good for you people to leave. So then I told him that, well, we kind of very scared because we came to this UN place and this is what happened, we don't know where to go. And I remember he saying, well, it's better that you leave because if you stay here and anything happens, you cannot hold us responsible. I remember that very well. So after he left, I was in a real predicament because I was really so young, and all of these people, very older people, were like looking up to me to provide some direction. So at that point, I had sent somebody to the Liberian Council of Churches office. They used to be somewhere on St. or around the 12th Street area. At the time, one Levi Moulton was the president of the Liberian Council of Churches. So he came along with some members of the Liberian Council of Churches at the UNDP headquarters. And they were also very surprised at what had happened. They came and brought us some sandwiches with Kool-Aid. And they said, well, they didn't know what to do. So they asked me what I thought. And I said, well, the only thing could be maybe to go to the nearest church, and I think it was him, Bishop Kula, and somebody. So they had all of us in line, and we left the UNDP compound and came to the Methodist church. In fact, it was at the Methodist church that we had the first displays, what is now considered displays. It was where we had the first displays facility. So we came in at the church, and once people knew there were a lot of people at the church who had gathered there, then a lot of people began to come. The next day, I was able to meet one pastor, I think it was one Pastor Allison, who was just next door at the Lutheran church. And I think the Liberian Council of Churches has spoken with their bishop overnight, and they said they were going to allow us to use the Lutheran facilities. So that we had the Lutheran facility. There was a young man from Nimba who was called Dolo. He had called me and told me that the Japanese ambassador at the time had left the ambassador residence with him, and we could also have some people stay there. And that's somewhere behind the Sophie's ice cream place. So we were able to have some people stay there. That's how come we began to establish these little facilities. In 1990, I really never, and like every Liberian would know, we never really knew there was anything called NGO. The first time I really saw NGO was like in 1990. And like a lot of Liberians here would know, back in the days, Liberians didn't really crave to work for the UN, so we didn't really know that UN has so many branches and stuff like that. But then we saw a lot of people, coming in to help There was like, the first group I think we saw was the MSF people. They said they came to help provide us sanitation and health facilities. Then there were so many that I can't remember. There was some Catholic organization. There was another group called Concern. So every time they came, we would meet and talk, and things started to get real fluid. And then other centers was established around St. Teresa Convent, the J.J. Roberts School. So there were several centers, and all of these centers had some heads. We've stayed in this facility. Things were not so bad, but they were not so good because we all had to sleep on the floor. And every time a lot of people would come, every day people would come, there were influx of people. So I don't have a good recollection, but we were there pretty okay. There were some cases of diarrhea here and there. But this unholy day of July, I think it was, July 26 have come and passed, and things were really getting tense. July 27, things were like getting real bad. Then on the, I think it was on the 28th, 29th, at about say 3 o'clock, I've just come from the Methodist compound and gone to the Lutheran church to sleep. But while I was crossing, I saw some looting going on by some soldiers. But then this other group had just come to where we have this Cinco shopping center. And that was when I went in, and we normally go in, stay a while, and in the evening say our prayers. But it was a lot that was in Cinco shopping center that they tried to get out of Cinco shopping center. So all of that bang started. Then later on, I think they came around the housing bank area. At about 8:45, 9 o'clock, the noise started getting closer. Adjacent Lutheran Church, they had several bars, and I remember this one, Harper's Lunch. So the noise started getting close to Harper's Lunch, and we really just thought it was just normal looting of things and stuff like that. So when they got to Harper's Lunch, we heard this bang and bang and bang. And later on, they moved into the next adjacent place, because you could tell by the sound as it got, closer. So actually at about, safely say 10 or a little past 10 o'clock, this noise came to the door. Somebody was like banging the door. And the way we had the place structured at the time, we had people who, we set up something like security. So one group is going to be on watch, then after that another group will come and watch. So when this guy came and banged the door, they kept on saying, open the door. They kept on knocking. Then somebody said, Adolphus, somebody knocking the door. Then somebody said, hey, don't call the man. I mean, we're in the middle of this thing. Don't call, no, he said, don't call the boy or something like that. So immediately after that, around that time, we just heard the door, coming down, and the next thing was just the outburst of guns here and there. And I don't remember anything until maybe about 6:37. I could tell the voice because it was not a black person. It was this lady, I think a Canadian, another tall Canadian fellow who lived further down. They were the first people that came in. When they got to the place, it was like, is anybody alive? Or is anybody alive? And in the middle of all of those chaos, I remember I had this big trench coat, and I was able to come, and it took me out, brought me outside, then took me across the road, and I still could not comprehend what had happened because I stayed on. But I remember there was all of this noise, and all of us in Liberia, we all remember we were not really used to all of this gun sound and whatever like that. So we went to the Methodist church, and when we got there, I remember the guy who used to be the keyboardist for the United Methodist Church, an elderly guy. He was there with his family, and he said, "But Dolo, what are we going to do?" But I couldn't imagine because I still had on this trench coat that I came with. I was kind of like drenched in blood. And I'm saying to myself, but how is this guy not even concerned about what I'm going through, but his concern is like, what do we do? Then it also dawned on me that yes, why should I have this thing with me? I was actually responsible for them being there. So I went and got a little washer and told them, okay, let's go to USAID. Is that facility now that is being used, it's supposed to be used for the Office of Election Commission. So we had gone there. So when we went there, there was another Canadian. So we tried to explain to him what had happened. He said he already knew what had happened. So I said, well, could you ask the embassy to help us? And he said he made a call, but the embassy didn't have any program that would repatriate people from their own home country to somewhere else. But on our way going to the UC compound, I had stopped at the what is church? This it's not an inline church. This church after the Lutheran church, it's a Pentecostal church somewhere in there. There where Paul Blood was seeking refuge. So I had gone to him, his wife, and I think his 2 kids. He said, "Oh, Dolo, I can't let you go alone. I have to go with you." And among several regrets that I have, that's indeed one of the biggest regrets that I have. So Paul Blood had gone with me to USAID. So when we got to USAID, and there were so many things that was crossing our mind. There were several vehicles. Now these people cannot help us. And the thing about this whole war at the time was that little did we know that there was an IMPFL or there was an NPFL. It was, I mean, a lot of Liberians that were around, most people who were in the Monrovia side, they couldn't tell. Because there were times you listen to the radio, they say, well, we're sending requests to this person in this area. So you just thought things were really, okay, and maybe it was only at your end. So I said, well, there are some embassies around here. Let me see if I can get to talk to somebody. So when I got out, I was going to the Polish, there used to be a Polish chargé somewhere around the avenue there. So when I was going, I met him. And he said he had heard about what happened. He was trying to figure out what to do. So the both of us came, and then he said we should go to the Lebanese embassy. Headed towards the Lebanese embassy, then I saw these soldiers from the other side of the road heading towards USAID. So he hurried me into the Lebanese embassy. So there where I stayed for a real good while, and I think this was early August. But again, I was there really not knowing what was happening in the outside world, and just about an hour or so, I could hear people singing, and the impression that I gathered was that they were made to sing, some song in favor of the government. And I'm told in the process, that's how Paul Blood, lost his life, and I never got to see him again. I know for a fact that the school that he graduated from in Canada, they were able, through equip, to get to his wife and kids, and his wife and kids are now in Canada, where they live. So basically, this was my own experience with regards to the incident at the Lutheran church.